So, thought I'd show you how I sharpen every tool that I use for making the chair. And first off here, and I'll go in this order here. So the first tool I show you is just a 3/4 inch bench chisel. To me, it's the one to learn on because it's the easiest tool to sharpen in the whole set, and it's the easiest chisel to sharpen because it's not too small, not too big, kind of like baby bear's porridge. It's just right. Then I've got a block plane that I picked up at a flea market just recently, Stanley, and show you how to tune it up, flatten the bottom, and sharpen it. Draw knife, and then I picked up this spoke shave also for about $10 flea market, and we'll tune it all the way up from the beginning to the end. And show you how to sharpen a wooden spoke shave, which is a really ingrain spoke shave is what I use it for. And then Travisher and an end shave or a scorp. And we're sharpening adze. Then we get to the turning tools, and I only use 3 turning tools. I use a 1/2 inch chisel, a 1/2 inch skew chisel, and 3/4 inch roughing out gouge, and a 1/4 inch spindle gouge. Then show you how to sharpen a scraper, or show you how I sharpen a scraper. A lot of ways to sharpen a scraper, a lot of ways to sharpen all these. And then an auger bit, and a spoon bit. And then 2 tools you don't really sharpen, but you do kind of maintain a little bit, which is a froe and the wedges. So, so next I'll show you the paraphernalia that I use, grinders and stones, and then we'll start sharpening some. Well, the first step, or the first step in most of my sharpening, would be the grinder. So what and you know, the grinder's scary, and some of y'all may even avoid them, but to me they're just the way to get there. The way to get there fast and efficient. This is a Baldor. It's a slow speed grinder, 1800 RPM. It's a 6 inch, and I prefer 6 inch only because I think it fits the tool rest better. With the 8 inch, your tool has to be at such an angle that you're trying to keep it on the tool rest and keep it up against the grinder at the same time. With the 6 inch, I can get the tool much flatter, and it's easier for me to hold. Let's see what else about this grinder. Well, I've got 2 different tool rests on it. I've got a Veritas tool rest over here that's got a couple of adjustments on it, right like that. I use this one just as often as I use this one over here. This is what is this? This is a one-way Wolverine tool rest, and they come with the rest like that, a little bit wider one like that right there, and then let's see if I can get that to stay put over there. But what I really use it the most for is grinding my turning gouge. So and we'll be getting to that. I'll show you how I do that with that on here. The wheels that are on here, this one I think is 100 grit, and I believe this one is 60, and I use them interchangeably. I don't pay much attention to which one I'm using as far as the grit goes. The first thing that I like to do though is to true the wheel, and the wheel will get glazed over. You can see, or you might be able to see, that this one's got some metal on it right now, and it's probably a little bit out of round. So I use a diamond stick for that, and you can buy a little gizmo to hold this, and that'd be pretty nice to have, but you got to buy it. So I just filed a little groove in mine there. Somebody at Highland Hardware told me to do that, one of the salesmen, trying to keep me from buying something. And you just lock it in right like that, and you can do a pretty good job of it. Let's make sure that's all locked in. And so I'll turn it on, and show you how to true this thing. So there we go. Now I like to crown the wheel because I just grind right in the middle of it, and by crowning the wheel you get more leeway on holding your blade square. If the wheel was trued straight across, then I'd have to hold the blade truer, bringing it back and forth, than I do if I crown it. So when I crown it, if I get it off just a little bit, it's no big deal. Let's see, how do I crown it? I crown it with this carborundum stick right here, and let me lower that. So there we go. Now I feel that those kind of glaze the stone over. So I open back up the grip with that right there. I don't know what that's called. Somebody tell me. Star wheel or something. So this one obviously needs to be true too. I do it the exact same way, so I'm not going to show you how to do that. But now we should be ready to start grinding. So I've got my water stones out that I usually use, and I've got 3 of them out here. This is a flattening stone right here, but I typically only use 2. So I've got an 800 grit water stone, a 1200 grit, and an 8000 grit. But for most sharpening, I'll go straight from the grinder to the 1200 grit and then to the 8000 grit, and I'm finished. Sometimes I have to back up to the 800. But the water stones are easy. They cut fast. Some people think they're a little bit messy, and then they get dished out really quick. But they're easy to flatten. So you know, there's drawbacks to all these stones and all these ways of doing it. So I'm going to show you how I flatten one of these, and then I'll show you a couple of other type alternatives to the water stone. So right here I'll show you how to flatten these. Okay, so there's other ways of flattening these stones. You could use a piece of glass and sandpaper or sanding screen. You could probably rub them against each other. I think some people do that. I don't know how to do that. But what I do is I flatten them on this rock right here. So the first thing I'll do is put some lines on this. So this is the 800 grit stone, and get some water on it. Turn it over, you can see the way it's been dished out in the middle there, and I'm starting to hit on these outer edges. So I've got to get it all the way down. So I'm getting there. I don't know if you can see. Let's get that off of there, and then you'll be able to see it a little better. There we go. So I've got a little bit more in there. About there. So I probably let this stone go a little bit too far. So the lesson learned would be a little less sharpening and a little more flattening. And that's it. Okay. Yep, got one little spot left. One little spot right there. Let's get it. There we go. Okay, so before I would move to my next stone, the 1200 grit, I'll wash all the 800 grit off of this so I don't contaminate that stone. As you can see, I've got a slurry running over up against my 8000 grit stone, which is not good, so I'll wash it. So now I'll flatten the other ones before I start sharpening, but I want to show you a couple of alternatives to the water stones. So I'll show you a few other sharpening stone alternatives. This is a diamond stone by Norton here. I had a couple of them given to me, and I don't use them very often. I use them mainly for sharpening scrapers because the scrapers are cut down into the water stones. But and they're expensive. Then DMT makes them that you've seen them. They're color coded ones, and they're all real nice. They're just high priced. Now, Tim Manning, a young guy who's worked with me some, was telling me about this real neat, inexpensive alternative to somebody who's just trying to get started and can't spend. I mean, those water stones alone, you have, you know, $150 minimum into 2 of those. But you can get into this for less than $20 and have all kinds of grits. This was a piece of tile, 12 by 12 granite tile from just your home store, and they cut it for you, and it cost me I think I paid about $2.50 for the tile, and then they cut it into thirds, and then you can take sandpaper of different grits and glue it onto the face. So you can either get the sticky back sandpaper and glue it on there, or you can just buy regular sheets of sandpaper and get the spray on adhesive and put it on there, and works great. For just a few dollars you've got a great sharpening system here. And to get the sandpaper off, because you'll have a hard time getting that thing off, take a heat gun and just heat that thing up, and it'll just pull right off. So I guess that's it. I'll start showing you how to sharpen some tools.